Attention, my budget boaters. We have the product for you. Recently, we took our popular XP2 drive system, normally the aluminum one you find on the Super G boat from Warehouse Hobbies Enforcer, and we reproduced it in nylon, glass-filled nylon injection molding, which I'm going to show you right here. And this is a great material, durable and very inexpensive. This drive can be completely purchased, as you see it, for $29.95 and as high as $44.95 with everything necessary: prop shaft, ferrule, bushings, thrust bearings, prop nut, cable, as a complete kit. This is perfect for the budget boater. It is so durable, we offer a lifetime warranty. If you are to break any part on this drive system and send us a picture of the broken part, we will replace that part for free. All you pay for is shipping. And for the guys that have to spruce things up a little bit, we now offer carbon fiber side plates. They can be used to replace the original plastic ones or the aluminums on the XP2, or you could purchase this drive as like this one with the carbon fiber plates already attached. This drive ranges from $49.95 to $64.95 as a complete kit. The XP2P drive system. This is a new product from Enforcer Manufacturing, sold by Warehouse Hobbies. You can find it in a hobby shop near you, or you can call us at 1-800-444-1995, or you can view it in greater detail on our website at www.whobbies.com. The XP2P drive system. Okay, last time I saw you guys, we were just patching our gel coat, where I had taken the red gel coat and filled it in, and then we had allowed it to dry. Now we let this dry a good 24 hours. Remember, I told you you really shouldn't do it within 24-hour period of time. We want the gel coat to get good and hard, and this way you don't take the chance of it shrinking which it normally can do if you don't let it cure. Okay, let's get started. But before we get started, let me tell you what we need today. We want to start with our wet dry paper. We want to start with 220. Okay, we need our pencil eraser we talked about earlier. We need our soapy water, a little dish to put it in, and some masking tape. And I didn't bring this up in the first show, but I wanted to bring it up now. This is a protective device, and I'm going to show you why we do this, okay? And if you're new at this, this is a very good thing to have. So have a roll of 1-inch masking tape is fine. Okay, let's get started. The first thing we want to do is take our soap solution, and again, I mixed this up. This is just regular water with a few drops of dishwashing liquid. You don't want to make it sudsy. And what the dishwashing liquid does is it makes it slippery, and it keeps the paper from clogging badly. Okay, now we take our eraser, okay, and you want the sheet to be just a little larger than the eraser, and I already preformed this before the show, and we'll just tear it like this. Okay, now let's do this twice, and I'll show you why. It's very easy to rip this if you don't have a scissors or want to ruin a good pair of scissors. Just as easy to tear it. Just crease it a couple times, and it'll tear like paper. Okay, the eraser. Why we want to use the eraser over our fingers. If we were to use our fingers and sand on this scratch, generally what's going to happen, before we have this thing smooth, you might even think it's smooth, your fingers are contoured. They're going to put grooves, and they're going to put valleys in the product. And you might not think so, but I can pretty much guarantee this is going to happen. So we want to have a hard edge, but something pliable, and that's why I chose a pencil eraser. I was showed this many, many years ago by an old guy in the fiberglass business, and he pretty much steered me pretty straight, as you can tell today by our products. I pretty much listened to everything he had to say. Okay, we wrap the paper around the eraser like this. Okay, just hold it. You can tape it if you want, but we just hold it. It'll stay put, and then we can sand with it. Before we start, here's where the masking tape comes in. Okay, you have to be very careful when you're doing this job that you're not damaging anything else, because you don't want to make the patch worse than what it started out as. So you could take your masking tape, and the masking tape is probably about, I'd say 10 thousandths in thickness, and you could place it very close to the patch, like I'm going to do here. I'm within a 1/16 of an inch around any of the patch. Okay, and why I'm doing this, guys, as you pretty much can tell now, if we sand and the sandpaper hits the masking tape, it's not going to cause damage to the good gel coat around the area. So this is what we're going to do. Now we can use this all the way down till we get to maybe 400 and then we can remove the sandpaper, remove the tape and sand to a 600 and then 1000 final. Okay, let's wet the paper real good and let's start sanding. I like to do circular motions, okay, and keep it flat. And it's going to come down pretty quickly with your 220. So you want to be pretty conscious of what you're doing here. Watch the tape. The tape is an indication if you're doing damage. If you start lifting the tape up or peeling the tape, you can easily put it back. And this is a very small damaged area, so you can see already I'm pretty much almost to the tape now. And then circular motion. Keep the paper wet. Another thing is it's totally common when you go back to your gel coat after the 1 day that it might feel sticky on the top. And that is the nature of the beast with gel coat. It will dry from the bottom side up. And there is chemicals you can do to make it dry thoroughly from the top side down, but not in this particular case. You're better off, once you break the sticky surface on the top, it is dry, trust me. Okay, in this case, you can see where I'm starting to damage the tape now. And that means that I'm pretty close. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit more on any of the high spots with the 220. Okay. And again, circular motions. Okay, now we're going to remove the tape and we're going to go to the next size paper. Okay, I removed the tape and let Chris zoom in here. Let's wipe this off and show you where we're at right now. Now it might be difficult on the screen to see it, but it's still a little bit proud, and this patch is coming real nice. Okay, now let's change the paper to 400 grit. Again, I'm using wet dry paper and a good quality paper. The better the tools, the easier this job is. Okay, let's tear this. Oh, it didn't crease good enough, I guess. Okay, again, the eraser. This time, I am not going to tape it. We're going to just be very careful. 400 is not as aggressive, obviously, as 220 is. So, I'm going to go over the area, and we're going to circular motion very carefully, sand it out, and it's going to blend it in with the rest. And yes, you are scratching the gel coat around the area, but you're also blending it, and that'll come out in the next couple stages. The reason I'm a little bit more careful with the aggressive paper is because you can dig in an edge with like a 220 can dig a hardline edge in it. If you're not careful, the tape prevents that. So now you got to be very conscious of what you're doing here and check it every few seconds. Re-wet it and check the area every few seconds because you can easily go too deep. And if the gel coat is put on properly around the area, you'll be able to sand it without a problem. If it's thin gel coat, in other words, when they sprayed the boat, it really wasn't enough, or the thickness like I described, you can actually sand through the gel coat. So watch what you're doing here, and if you start to see discoloration, you're finished at that point, because you'd have to restart that patch completely over again. So if you have an area or around area that starts to show discoloration, you pretty much have to stop. Okay, so be very careful. It's a very light hand I'm using here. Now, you can see here, I'm going to dry it off. I mean, you really have to look at it. Now, as this dries, it's going to become dull in this area because I've scratched the gel coat and I've dulled it, up against the shiny areas around it. But you can see that patch is almost invisible right now. But we're still not done. Let's do this right. So let's change to 600. Now, there was a time, many years ago, not today, that you could actually went to 600 paper, and then from 600 went to a compound. And from the compound, you could have buffed it, and your patch would have been near perfect. But things have changed over the years. The quality of our products are not as forgiving as they used to be. That's a good way to put it, I guess. I believe between all the chemical companies and the EPA and a lot of other reasoning and money, they've changed the formulations to a lot of the gel coats, and they're not as durable as it used to be. So unfortunately, gel coat isn't as friendly as it used to be, and we have to sand now. I find myself sometimes in mold sanding to 2000, which was that wasn't even a thought 10 years ago. But like I said, the gel coats are they're softer today than they used to be. So you have to learn to live with the manufacturing changes over the years. Okay, next thing we're going to at it, and we're going to go back over that area, try to concentrate on the area, and we're going to circular sand with 600. Okay, it's very important in the progressions with the paper, if you're not aware it works. You have a 220, which is heavy grit, and you can cut it with, the next progression would be like a 320, but we seem to be able to go to 400 with no problem, then 6, and then we'll jump to 1,000. On a patch like this, I normally don't go past 1,000. If we were doing a new mold, absolutely. We want our molds to be as perfect as possible. But to patch something like this, the eye isn't going to catch those fine scratches easily, especially outside. Okay, check again. Remember what I said about the discoloration. Look real good. This, we use plenty of gel coat, so it's very forgiving for us, for our products. And I'm doing everything flat. And it's pretty much all but disappeared. And you'll notice, obviously, the scratch was, I believe, right here. I can't even see it. And I'm going to go around an area about 1.5 inches around, and I'm just going to, so everything blends real nice. Okay. Okay, the next step, and we're getting close to the end, is to go to 1,000. So we prepare that. Remember something, no fingers. Unless you have to go around tight corners, try to avoid using fingers. You can use a piece of tubing if you have to go around a round corner. Fingers are not forgiving. They tend to, like I said, they leave gullies in the part. Okay, the last step we're going to do, we're going to go to the 1,000. Okay. Put it on the eraser, let it, and start sanding. Now this is the final. After this, all that's necessary is you can take a rubbing compound. It's called, you can find it in the automotive industry or boat industry. It's called microfine. And a microfine compound would be applied with a rag, just like I'm doing with the sandpaper. And then when you're done, the best shine you can achieve on fiberglass that I've found, and I don't, this is personal. I don't stock the product to sell, is Meguiar's Mirror Glaze number 3. So if you want to know the secrets to warehouse hobbies, why our products look so good and our molds look so good, that is the best wax I've found to prepare a surface for show when you're finished. So we've got the 1,000 on there, and now this scratch is all but gone, you guys. And I will show you that in a few minutes. I'm not going to go into depth with compounding it. There's not much that needs to be said about that. It's very messy, so I don't want to do it here on my set. But you can do it by hand in a case like this, and you would take your rag and use your microfine compound, you dry it real good, and start rubbing. And once you've spent a couple minutes doing that, and you look at it really good, and you're happy, then you get yourself your Meguiar's Mirror Glaze number 3, wax the whole product down, and I'm going to defy that you guys can see that scratch, and I'll show you where it was in a second here. Chris, zoom in there. Okay, guys, let's get it. Okay, let's look real close. It was from here to here. And we did this patch properly. We contoured it, we zeroed it out on each end, and I can barely see the evidence that there was damage right here. Now, when you're doing the chip that was above, remember we did the chip? I don't need to go into depth with that. Same way. Put your tape on there, because the first couple aggressive sanding papers you're going to use can really do some damage. So the same thing's going to apply. And we're going to start with 220. Now if you want to go to 320 after that, that's fine, but I found by going from 220 to 400 does work, saves a step. Take your 220, knock that down till it's flat as possible, remove the tape. You can go to 320, knock it down a little bit more, then you can go to 400, knock it down smooth, then go to 600, then 1,000, then your microfine compound, and try to get a white microfine compound. That seems to work a little bit better. It's a white. And then the Meguiar's Mirror Glaze number 3, and you're finished. And that is what it takes to patch gel coat. There's probably to take in consideration, but the actual work time is an hour. And I could have repaired this particular product probably about completely hour and a half, and saved myself $75 from if you had to replace this cowl. Okay. The next episode, 008, I'm going to touch in fiberglass repair. We're going to do some internal repair, damage that actually punctured fiberglass. And then once you fix the inside, you take the same, you go back to episode 7 and follow all of that information to fix the outside. And you can pretty much save 90% of stuff can be saved. I mean, anything can be fixed. I've seen boats so destroyed and patched, you know, with the exception of having to put 20 pounds of resin inside of them, it's worth it. You know, you can always make a beater boat out of it. You don't have to throw it away. Plus, it's a good thing to learn. Again, refer to these episodes to do your own gel coat repair, and I think you'll be 100% successful. My name is Tony Castro. I'm the host of Full Throttle RC, presented by Warehouse Hobbies. I'm glad you tuned in for these 2 shows, and I hope you've learned something. I'll see you next time.